everybody, welcome back to Duane and Nadia, Food, Travel, and Fun. I am back in the kitchen because that last recipe just wasn't quite enough. And we've been, both of us, feeling a bit inspired to do some of that southern type cooking based on our New Orleans experience. We had a great time and we were really inspired. And part of that inspiration is for me to make my take on gumbo. So I've got some chicken and I've got all our spices and I am using crystal hot sauce in mine. I'm not going to use too much because I want to share it with the family, but I'll just add a bunch to mine when I make it later. And I did find these beautiful peppers. These were great. These are right there, Stop and Shop, with the coloring on these is just amazing. And they were so nice looking, I decided, yeah, they had to be part of this recipe. So, got our andouille sausage. We're using breast tenderloins, but you can use different things. You could use boneless thighs, which is one of our favorite parts of a chicken. And you can also add shrimp into this or other, whatever you really like. But I'm going to show you pretty basic this time. I'm going to start, we'll just have the sausage and the chicken. And we got the peppers, onion, celery, and all our little seasonings to go in. A couple cans of diced tomatoes. Yes, our shortcut on garlic. Yeah, I know. Some people, hey, they aren't so thrilled about that, but it's what we do. If you want to mince up a bunch of little cloves of garlic for yourself, you go right ahead. This is our preference. So, and flour thickens it all up, along with, so it's going to be a nice thick stew. It's going to have beautiful flavorings, lots of seasonings that are used in this one, and I'm going to walk you through it. So stay tuned and check back in. Let me chop up that chicken and start chopping up the veggies, get things down to the right sizes here, and I'll show you everything once it's prepped, and tune back in a sec. Thanks. Alright everybody, so as you can see, I've done all my prep work. Everything's chopped up and ready to go. I'm going to start adding all of this into the pan and I'll walk you through the process. Let me relocate over by the stove and we will go from there. See you in a minute. Alright everybody, welcome back. I'm ready to get this started. I got my flame going, a medium flame. I am going to start by sweating our veggies. I'm going to use a little bit of vegetable oil, whatever you prefer, canola, corn, whatever your preference is. We're using canola oil. So get a little bit in there, just kind of coating the bottom. Get these started. Let me bring in, I'm going to manhandle these a bit, but they're going in. And it's a nice, good pile of vegetables. Like I said, we used a couple of onions, we used a couple peppers. I used about 5 short stalks of celery in here for this batch, which I am just going to start to sweat down for a few minutes here. It's just with the oil for now. And once it sweats down a little bit, I'll start adding other ingredients, try to make the roux. I'll start with getting some butter added into it, and then I'm going to start adding in, the chicken, the andouille, the other meats, and go from there. So let's cook this down for a sec, and we'll be right back. So this has been going for about, let's let that steam go off. See, it's starting to clear nicely. It really is reaching that point. For about 5 minutes. So I am now going to put in my stick and a half of butter. Get that melted down into the batch. And I'll be able to start adding in like garlic and starting to make a little bit of the roux. I'll probably get my flour going in there. I gotta get my chicken in. So I'll probably go with garlic, then chicken with the andouille, and then I'll add some flour and start to really bring it together. The butter's melting down nice and quickly here, so I did turn the heat up a bit, so everything's coming along quick, but it's really just a matter of, we're just sweating out the vegetables right now, so nothing's burning at all. It's going beautiful. I do love the color of this pepper, so it really, it's very nice. It's very nice. And it looks great. It's losing a bit of the color, but that's okay. That's expected. So I'm whenever you cook. I really think this, I tasted the pepper and it's excellent. And really think it'd be a good one for salads. So, it's just my opinion though. All right, so now the butter actually melted down nice and quick. So let me get my chicken in there and my sausage. Yep, hold this a bit. I know it's hot, so one hand holding it, one hand mixing. It is. This is a very hearty stew, ultimately. So I'm not gonna add much else just yet till this chicken starts to be really white. And that won't take long. That should just take a few minutes. So I'll keep stirring it and working with that, and then we'll come back in a minute and I'll show you the next steps. All right, everybody. So my chicken is really nice and cooked up. It's got that nice white color to it now. It's been 6 or 7 minutes cooking it all in there. And I'm about to really, it's time for seasonings. We gotta get some seasonings going and then we're gonna start making a roux. So I am gonna start with a nice amount of garlic. I would say that that's gotta be 6 or 7 cloves going in if you were to actually take cloves and mince them up. Oh, and one of the things I left out is I'm not a big fan of okra. So I did leave my okra out. You can add it if you like it, but this is my version, and my version does not have okra. So that's a preference. I'm gonna start off with, I love our Frank's Red Hot, so I'm gonna get some of that going. I am not gonna kill it with Red Hot. I'm gonna get a bunch in there on top, and because I got cayenne pepper, that's really gonna also add to that heat factor. But you have to be careful with the cayenne, even for someone like me, it can take over. So don't go too much, keep that half teaspoon less. Same thing with your Red Hot. But the Cajun seasoning, we are really, it's all about getting a Cajun flavor here. We're making gumbo, and we are looking much closer, I would say, to a couple of teaspoons and possibly a little more. Remember, you're gonna do this to taste in the end. So you don't want to skip out too much, but it's easy enough to go over your preferences. So I can't give you a precise amount. I would say you'll definitely not go beyond like a tablespoon in a batch this size. This does have about 3 pounds of chicken meat added to it, and we're going to be using at least half a gallon, I think more, of the chicken broth. So right now you can see it's started to change the color of the liquid in here just a bit. See, it's already, let me see if I can get a nice little sample of liquid. It's getting some nice color to it from those seasonings that I just added. And I'm gonna put in 1 can of the petite diced because I want to get the flour going in. I'm gonna start making up the roux. And also, we like our sea salt, as opposed to, you can use table salt, but our preference is definitely sea salt. You can add salt later as well, but for now, we need some salt in the mix. I'm adding about close to a teaspoon. It's a big pan, I'm not too worried. So, let me get this all mixed together and start. It's starting to really smell wonderful, although I do believe I can actually increase the amount of Cajun seasoning I put, because other seasonings are coming through from what I'm smelling. And I will taste it along the way. I'm not prudish about that at all, but you know what? I'm just gonna go a little bit more Cajun seasoning, because this is really the base of this gumbo. So, and there we go. It is. The liquid level has come up a bunch with the addition of the diced tomatoes. Matter of fact, it's almost totally covering the meat in the veggies, so that's great. And we are definitely working towards a stew really fast. So hold on a sec here. I'm going to, now some people might take, in other recipes I absolutely do this, where I take flour, mix it with cold water, and add it in that way. I'm actually just gonna take my flour and I'm going to add it directly to this mix. So I'm using heaping tablespoons here, very heaping. And I'm saying I'm looking at about, oh God, somewhere between, I'd say close to a good quarter cup of flour just got added into this. So it is going to thicken up. It's already thickening right here in front of me as I'm stirring. So this is becoming a very thick roux right off the bat. It did not take long. I mean, that went to wallpaper paste very fast. So, but that's great because the next ingredients, which is gonna start to bring this back and thin this down, is our chicken broth. And we're gonna start putting that in. I'll keep mixing as I add it. Get that all mixed in there nicely. And we are adding a whole bunch. So this container was open, but just about full, as we use a lot of broth around here. And yep, I'm mixing, and it's thinning it right back down again. And once this reaches the boiling point, it'll come back up in thickness. And if I really need to, I can always add more flour later. If I add flour later though, I am gonna do mix it with a little bit of cold water, and as opposed to just adding in flour directly into this. So just that first container really made a difference. And this is only about a quarter full. So basically at this point I've added a full 32 ounces to it. And I have another 32 available to work with. So each one of those, that's a quart at a time. So I have another quart here. I don't think we're gonna get the entire quart because I'm gonna add in another can of the diced tomatoes. That's gonna add liquid to it as well. And but for right now, there we go. It's starting to look very nice. And as I look at it, we'll see how it thickens when it reaches a boil, but I suspect I'm gonna end up adding more flour to this as well. So we'll check back in a minute. Let's just cook up for a sec, and I'll show you the next step in the final ingredients going in. And because I am such a big lover of this New Orleans favorite, Crystal hot sauce, oh, look at that. I'm spilling a little bit into my gumbo, but not too much because I am going to be sharing this with other family members, and I am not trying to make something that they can't eat. But, you know, I want everyone to enjoy it, and I can always add more Crystal right to my bowl. So, which I'm sure I'll do. But for now, there she goes. She's cooking. Let's get this back to a boil, and we'll check back in a few minutes. Thanks. All right, everyone, welcome back. It has started it's back to a boil. I added a little bit more flour to it. I added a little bit more Cajun. I tested it out, and it seemed to need a little bit more Cajun seasoning. I actually added a little bit of paprika. I kind of darkened it up and added a little bit more smokiness to it, some smoked paprika. So it's almost to that good stage where I'm gonna be able to let this go back to a simmer. So I'm adding in the remaining diced tomatoes. And I'm gonna start with about half this can of tomato paste. I don't wanna just put it all in, and because it may end up going a little too tomatoey, a little too acidy, a little too, you know, like I don't wanna change the flavor profile too much. So I'm going with half a can. I'm gonna mix that into it. We're gonna add, as you can see it's nice and thick. We're gonna be able to add in more chicken broth. I am thinking I'm very likely gonna add almost a quart more to this. So, there you go. We got a good full 2 quarts of broth added to this mixture right now. And that's gonna bring the temp down a bit, but boy, it's looking beautiful. The color looks nice. The smell is just, I mean, with the peppers and the sausage, everything's just really starting to come out. My Crystal pepper is coming through. I love that. So But here she is. She's about to go for a nice long simmer. I'm gonna let this simmer for a good, anywhere between 40 minutes and maybe even as long as an hour. I'm gonna just have to judge it. About a half an hour, I'm gonna take a look at it and see how it's looking, and I'll share a quick peek at it with you guys as well. And if it's looking like she's ready, then we stop it sooner, and if it looks like it needs more time, we give it. So it is kind of your own judgment call, but it is, I mean, there's just so much in there. And it's gotten thinned, again, quite a bit with the broth that I've added and the diced tomatoes and whatnot. So let's see how it thickens back up. If I feel it's a little too thin, I'll add a little bit more flour to it, get it back. But I think she's looking good. And let's let this go, get back to a boil, and I will check back with you guys. About a half hour for me, about 10 seconds for you. And I'll see you soon. See how she's doing. All right, everyone, I'm back. It's been a little bit, just over a half an hour, and it looks great. It really looks ready to go. So I am turning off the heat as we speak. It will thicken up even further when it cools. It's already thickened up a nice amount. And this is a dish that's usually served with rice. We have these little convenient rice things. Isn't that nice? And let me go inside. Let me dig down nice and deep and start filling my bowl with. This is just so enjoyable. I haven't had it since our trip, and I am definitely looking forward to this right now. There we go. It's a nice big bowl. A little late for dinner, but that's okay. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in a while. Gonna let the pan cool. I'm gonna take a little sampling right here in front of you. Breaking my rice up a bit. Gumbo, just mix right into it. And you'll see. Yeah, see, you got a nice, I'm gonna call it really close. You see it? There you go, I'm sure you can see that. Still hot, really hot and steamy. Oh yeah. Don't skimp on the Cajun. It's really, it really makes it. That Cajun spice is really what you need. That little bit of crystal, I'm gonna end up adding a bit more crystal to my bowl here. The chicken is cooked really well. There's that andouille sausage. All of the vegetables are just so nice and tender and soft. Oh yeah. Well, there it is. That is my take on gumbo. Excuse me. And boy, can't wait to sit down and finish this up. And that is Cooking with Duane on Duane and Nadia, Food, Travel, and Fun. Thank you for tuning in, watching. You can get that one last peek while I wrap it up. But yeah, hey, nice chunks of everything. It is a very hearty one. So until next time, like, subscribe, tell your friends, ring the bell. Thanks for tuning in.